Chris, I'm going to unmute you.
Okay, hello.
Hey, Chris. Do you want to?
Can you hear me okay?
I can. I can hear you just fine.
Brilliant,
Um,
brilliant.
do you want to? You want to ask the question instead of me reading it?
Yeah, by all means, yeah.
Okay.
It, it's I've been doing this kind of work for a long time,
Mm.
and I've listened to a million presenters and watched all the videos, all of the stuff. I've been doing it for a long time. But one of the things, I get into some really beautiful kind of states of being, if you will. But always, there's this thing going on where it's very hard to explain, but it's almost like a paranoid, it's almost schizophrenic, because there's this energy of me, this uh, 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 fictional self, and there's always something going wrong there. Always. I can be having a little daydream of walking on the beach and I'll stand on broken glass. I can be walking down the street and someone will punch me in the head. That's what goes on with this thing, this energy, and it's always been the same my whole life. And when I was younger, it led me into all sorts of problems and many injuries and hospitals, and I won't bore you with the details, but they were extreme, some of them. And it's all been a part of this. It's almost like I was born with a very intense feeling that something really bad's going to happen.
Mm.
And of course, I've lived through that whilst I was totally this self, but I'm getting to see now that it's not who I am, and I can see the energy in myself. I can actually almost see it right here now. It's almost as if I can take it out of myself and throw it away. Does that make sense? I've got a real clarity as what I suppose you could call it a witness. I witness this stuff going on. Now, what I can't do, excuse me, what I can't do is I can't see how I keep falling into this. I can be walking along, having a chat with friends or whatever. In my head, there's this I wouldn't even call it a dialogue, but sometimes it feels like there's an actual dialogue going on where I'm preparing for all sorts of disaster. Something's going to go wrong. And I'm sure that's quite often why these things have. Just an overview. I've been involved in car accidents and bike accidents and liver disease and skull fractures and yada yada yada. I mean, the list is very long, and I kind of think it's associated with this aspect of me that just does this stuff. But now I think I'm in a place where maybe I could break that bond, but I can't see how.
Mm.
For some reason, I wrote whilst you were speaking earlier. I was getting quite emotional, actually, but I think that's something to do with David Bowie dying as well. But as a part of this, I wrote here there's a reason I won't give up these paranoid constructions, and I have to find that reason. So that's where I am with this now. So that's really what I wanted to offer you guys.
Beautiful.
Hopefully it makes sense.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for your honesty and your bluntness there. That's always appreciated and is really what this is about. So I'll let Brian and or Lori answer first.
Sure. Um, so there's different levels of where our creation comes from. And so it is true that in the psychological viewpoint, if you identify the belief system and you change it, everything changes. But I have a PhD in psychology, and I am licensed in psychology, and I know the field inside and out. And I help people to shift, and that's just not a true belief. And it's permeated really big into the New Age now. Like, if I change my belief, all reality changes. Now, there's an aspect to that that's very true. If you change the lens on your glasses, you're going to see differently, so you're going to capture different aspects of reality that are already happening. And if you focus mentally, you're going to have a different way that you guide yourself. But what you're speaking of is something energetically that is much more, I would say, embedded or powerful than just a mental belief. So sometimes, yes, sometimes the psychology and the mental belief is enough to shift a reality. It actually is. But what you're talking about is this deep fear you came into the incarnation with. It's in you. It's in your body, and it goes deeper than your body. So it's not bad or good. In a state of awakening, we can go through the preferred and the non-preferred and find a peace about it. And we're human, so we don't just want to find peace about, oh, there's a war today. You know, we want to creatively shift it. So when you were speaking, there was a point during which you actually were completely fluid, and you stopped hanging on to that energy thing right in this part of your torso. You became very fluid, and you could see it. I heard you in that moment. You could feel. You said, I could just about let this go now. And it's from that place. It's from that energetic awareness and place that you actually can. Whatever, all the things that happen create an imprint, and they are, and last lifetime, this lifetime, you know, whatever you believe about that, but you can let that energy go. There's lots of tools and ways to help people when they're not ready to do that yet. They need more help. But I felt in you right in that moment, like, you're ready. You can give permission for that energy to go. And from there, yes, refocusing your mental framework will help. But don't buy into the psychological thing. If I find the reason out, if you go, you're going to be in therapy with someone for 20 years with that baloney. You don't need to find the reason out. You need to let the energy shift, which you have this beautiful capacity to do, which you just showed us, and then mentally just give your thanks, your gratitude to the new creation. Use your mental apparatus in that way. Give your gratitude to the new mental creation, that you are safe and all is well, and everywhere you go, you're encountering very delightful, safe experiences. Now, I'm answering your question humanly because you're asking for healing, and awakening is one thing, and healing is another, and I say we need both, so I'm just answering you in that way.
Certainly, thank you. Yeah, I certainly understand. Yeah, I do have that. There is. That's why I refer to it as kind of schizophrenic, because there is this awareness watching it, and then there is this. It's almost like one of the early cartoons. You know, it's just like this roadrunner type of character barging around and getting injured all the time. You know, there is something, and I suppose the why I thought there must be a reason I'm hanging on to this, because I'm frightened to let go of this thing in case what it's creating happens. And I don't know if that makes sense, but let's just say I'm imagining somebody's going to. There was a time when someone was going to hit me with a beer glass. This was a long time ago. Now, if I live with that kind of psychology, and my fear is if I let go of that, I won't be ready for it when it happens. That's the trap. Every time that traps me. That's that type of thinking.
You'll be ready for when disaster happens. You're already ready. You're fully equipped to do something about it. So you can change your movie screen deep inside and on the mental outside, and it's okay.
Okay.
Brian?
Thank you, Laurie.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of different ways to approach what's being said. It feels like the most fundamental way is to go into the sense of what is the true nature of the self. I think is what the primary focus here is when we talk about awakening. And there's a story of yourself that you're very attached to, clearly, and I think what Laurie's getting at is you wanting to find the reason for it is actually further attachment to it.
Yeah.
There's this point where it's just not that interesting anymore, you know, and it's not a sense of, like Laurie was saying too, whether it's good or it's bad, or I want it or I don't want it, or I want more of it or less of it, or chase it. You know, all of that just is not that interesting anymore, because you're opening to the awareness of these are just words, but the essence of yourself, which transcends the story of yourself, you know. And it's such a great, on the story level, it's such a great example of how we get what we're looking for, you know. So you're so prepared for bad things to happen that you hit your skull and you fall down and you have accidents. You know, it's such a great example of how the mind works in that way, where whether we want something or don't want something, what we're focusing on, we manifest, you know, knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or unconsciously. But beyond that, if you could just bring the awareness, like Jeff was alluding to, back, you know, kind of back from the story of yourself, and really solving this question of who you really are, beyond story, beyond what happens or doesn't happen, right? then there's a liberation. There's an awareness liberates itself, and the freedom from the story is not effort or trying to free yourself from the story or trying to push it away, because that actually maintains the story. It continues the story. Whether I'm trying to have more of the story or trying to have less of the story, either way I'm maintaining the story. I'm maintaining my attachment to the story. So bringing yourself to this awareness that loses interest in the story and the attachment to the story. Yeah.
Okay.
Chris, so
Hi, Jeff.
hi. So I'd like you to take a deep breath.
Okay.
What's the worst thing that could happen, Chris? What's the absolute worst thing that could happen? There you go. You let that be here. That's right. That's right. It's welcome here. There it is. That's it. There you go, Chris. You're seen, buddy. You're seen. It's okay. It's okay for the worst thing to ever happen to be here, and for you to embrace it and stop fighting it. There you go. This is not therapy. This is something different. This is you meeting it with awareness, with consciousness, with love. Allow that in, Chris.
It's interesting. Immediately when you asked me the question, I just felt like crying, and couldn't even, there were no images or anything, just a feeling. But the one word that really gets me is the word love. It's if I try and take that inside, it's so painful.
Just take baby steps. It's okay. You just take baby steps. This is all of us, everyone on this call. And this is our heart opening up. This is us. This is our frozen parts melting. And this is what this is about. This is love showing up. And yes, sometimes it can be painful. Sometimes to break out of the box that love is in, it hurts. But we're here holding your hand, inviting you. We're all in this together. Sangha, a group, teachers, none of us any better than the others. And we really take this opportunity to stop fighting. So Chris, I want to be very clear here. I want to make sure that this really sticks with you. Your question was how do I, where do I, how do I, what can I do? And this is it. And this is it. You've shown vulnerability. You've shown courage. You've shown a willingness to step right up. Everybody learn from this. And this is what all of us teachers here did, is when anybody who has ever woken up, to a certain degree, I'm erring on the side of specificity. Laurie is correct. We don't all wake up in the same way. But I generalize and I make an error in doing so. This is beautiful, Chris. This is where it's at. It really, you've said you've been doing this for some time, watching all the videos, reading all the books. At what point you're just fed up, you're just done with it. And this is what has been inviting you to show up. I just want to, again, I'm calling your attention to this. I want this wisdom to sink into your bone marrow. So that the next time you find yourself caught in catastrophic thinking and in the results that it has on your life, that you drop into the tacit heart-feeling state that you're in right now, that you remember, or that you're more easily able to get back into this witness consciousness, into this noticing. So Chris, share with us what your body feels like now as opposed to earlier. A little more relaxed, maybe?
Unfortunately, I feel fatter. I have relaxed quite a bit, and there's less. I know there's some stuff to let go in there, but I don't mind that. I quite like it. You know, I like it.
You've taken a big step. You really have.
Yeah, I do feel. So I feel kind of softer, less kind of.
Yes.
Angular, I suppose.
Yes. That's it. There you go. Take a deep breath. Make sure you breathe deep.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Chris.
You three guys and everyone else for listening, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I'm gonna put your microphone back on mute.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.